Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, it's about karma. Who has bad karma? Anybody? Nobody? Oh.
Everybody.
Only 3 people have bad karma. 4 people have bad karma. Everybody has good karma. 1 person. Everybody else is neutral. Neither good nor bad karma. So the word karma, of course, is now used even in Western languages like English. And kind of know something about what karma is, but probably not in detail. But it is also commonly used in Vedic literature. But there's also generally a little bit of misunderstanding about it, because if you're under karma, it means you can't choose anything, you have no free will. So in other words, everything is forced to happen to you by destiny. That's kind of the concept of what karma is. But that's not actually so. So, according to Bhagavad Gita, we go from body to body, to body, to body, to body. And it's an unending cycle. No beginning and no end for most living entities. And when you go from body to body, you carry with you in your subtle body, that is your kind of your aura, stuck in your aura, you carry with you karmas, fixed events that are going to happen in this life, the next life, the next life, the next life. For instance, at a certain age, you will get sick. At a certain age, you get an accident. At a certain age, you'll get married. At a certain age, you will lose your job. At a certain age, you will get a promotion. At a certain age, you will lose a friend. At a certain age, you will lose all your money. At a certain age, you will die. So these are fixed karmas, which you can't do too much about. So these are what your karma is. And not fixed not only for this life, but also for next life, next life, next life, next life, next life, next life. Plus, there's a few things added on each lifetime. Because you do activities and accrue more karmas each lifetime. So that goes with you life after life, and you cannot escape it. All you can do is exhaust your present karmas by experiencing the sufferings and happinesses of this lifetime. Otherwise, you cannot do anything about it. That's the only way you get rid of it. But then still you've got the karmas coming up and the karmas that you're producing. So in other words, it's an unending cycle, and you cannot, it's very difficult to break it. As well as that, we get our experiences because we do activities and we get experiences in life. I do an activity, I get a good result, then I feel happy. I do another activity, I feel a bad result. And so I don't like that. And so if it's very strong, I'll get an impression in my mind. This is very, very bad. I don't like this at all. This is painful. I have to avoid this by all means. This is very frightening. So this may go with us for many, many lifetimes. As a result of our experiences in lifetime. So these two things, the karmic effects and the impressions or the vasanas, they will go with you life after life, like that. This keeps going on. Of course, we can go to lower species of life and then gradually raise up to human species. We do not accrue karma in animal life or plant life because our intelligence is not sufficient to take responsibility. But we can still experience karmas from being a human being. So you do a simple activity, you kill a cow, then you become, if you're a human being, you become maybe a dog in your next lifetime. That's your karma. And as a dog, you don't produce karmas when you bite people. But you do experience the karmas you have from a human being. So anyway, your karmas are there, and they go on with you, and your vasanas and impressions keep going life after life after life. An endless cycle. So we call this the wheel of karma. The Buddhists especially represent that wheel of karma a lot. And it's a circle, and the circle has no beginning and no end, so that's why we call it a wheel. And very, very difficult to get out of it. Actually, here we see the wheel of karma in the Buddhist depiction here of the different lives you can get into, Devata body, hellish body, human body, animal body, etc. like this. You can go through cycles like that. In the center you'll see there's a snake and a pig and a chicken, which represent lust, anger, and greed. So they are the, let's say, the emotions or the mentalities which cause us to do activities, which give us karma, which give us these bodies in different life forms. So getting a certain body is also your karma. You get born in a certain family, in a certain place, at a certain time, and with certain parents, which you may like or dislike or whatever. That's your karma also. Or you may be born on a heavenly planet in Svargaloka, or you're born in a hellish planet. It's also karma. So it's a very intricate system. The law is very simple. It's an unseen, in Sanskrit it's also called adrishta, which means unseen. You cannot see how it's working. But it's an unseen law. The government doesn't make the law. It's a law inbuilt into the material world from beginning to end of creation. It's part of material nature itself. None of this law of karma. But it only operates for we create karma as human beings, not as lower species. So the law is very simple. If we do violent actions unnecessarily which affect other living entities, we have to suffer that amount on ourselves. So if we give a dog a suffering, then we will have to get suffering. If we give a pig suffering, get suffering. Give a cow suffering, we will get suffering like that. Of course, if we give suffering to other human beings, we also get suffering. A husband gives suffering to his wife, we get karma. Next life, maybe he's a wife and his husband gives him bad karma, gets suffering or something like that. The violent actions, unnecessary actions which give unnecessary pain to other living entities, human being or an animal or even plant, will give you equal reaction. And this applies even to accidental things. Of course, it's not so strong, the effect. So just when walking down the road and you step on a bug, is it karma? You'll get some effect and some life from that, not very strong. But then if you intentionally, let's say you see a cat or a dog, and intentionally you torment the dog or the cat or something, then you get more. Of course, if you kill them, you get even more. So the more intentional and the more wicked your mind is in affecting other living entities, the worse karma it is. Also, if you have to survive, you don't get bad karma. So there's a story in the Upanishads of a sage. It was a drought, no food, anything. So he ate a dog, but no bad karma, because there was nothing else he could do to survive. So he didn't get any bad karma for that. But where there's no necessity of committing violence, then, and we do anyway, then we get bad karma for that, which means we get some suffering in our life, in future life. And then we get the opposite. If we do good acts for other living entities, we'll get good results in some life. We'll get good health, good education, good relationships, good promotion, good job, comfortable life, long life, etc., etc. By doing acts of compassion. We may not experience this lifetime, but we'll definitely get it next lifetime. So there's an inevitable law that acts, and we're doing acts all day long, and they're all going to have give some result to us. Some are strong, some are weaker. Simultaneously, we're also wearing off the effects of previous karmas by experiences of happiness and distress in this life. That is the basic law. It is very, you cannot change it normally, and you cannot hide from it. The government can also punish you if you do a crime, then you get in jail. Okay, so that covers, then you don't get the karma for that. The government does sit on the job for you in this lifetime, so you don't have to get the karma next lifetime or next lifetime. Yeah? You kill a person, get thrown in jail, covered, finished. So you don't have to suffer the next lifetime. Unfortunately, of course, governments don't see all the crimes they committed and all the sins, and some things are not sinful, even though they're sinful according to, because they are violent, but it's not a crime. Like killing animals is not a real crime in most countries, but it is a karma, bad karma. So, this law is inevitable and you cannot hide from it. Whatever the government doesn't catch you with, the law of karma will catch you sooner or later. Maybe not this lifetime, but sooner or later. There's this famous picture, I think in one of the Bhagavad Gitas. There's a man with a cow head, with an axe in his hand, and there's a cow with a man head looking up at him. So the meaning of this is actually quite profound, because it's actually an illustration of definition of meat from Manu Samhita. Mamsa is meat. So the definition of mamsa actually is made out of two words, mam and sa. Mamsa means flesh. So mam means me and sa means he. So I kill the animal this lifetime. Next lifetime, he gets to kill me. Mam and sa, he and me. We reverse our roles. Whatever suffering I give, he will give me suffering. Of course, that's not always literal. It's not that the cow's going to come back, but at least we'll get equal suffering somehow or other. And if we do very violent crimes, we're not born as a human being at all. We get born as an animal or a plant. That's also possible. We go to lower species of life, in which lives we cannot commit crimes. So we can do whatever we want for free. But we get that life because in a human being we do whatever we want and we get the karma for it. Yeah. So therefore, we cannot escape the effects of this type of law. Okay. And as I said, we have piles of karma now sitting in our subtle body, some of which we'll experience in this lifetime, but there's too many of them to be experienced in this lifetime. So we got backlog waiting for us for next life, next life. So at no point in time are we going to get rid of our karmas, because each lifetime we're doing new activities and we're getting new karmas. And we're spending some karmas, we're getting new karmas. Spending some, getting new karmas. And so it's just like this. We keep building up karmas. So in one sense, impossible to get rid of this karma. If you were to get rid of all your karmas, you wouldn't take birth and death again in the material world. That would be liberation. But we know liberation is very rare. So it's a very difficult situation for us. So it's a big wheel and we can't escape from it. Of course, another analogy given is just a prison or Durga. It's a fortress. And we're all caught up in the fortress and we can't get out. And we're in prison and we're in chains. And we're trapped and there's no way of getting out of that prison. So, therefore, we do activities, and in some future lifetime, then we get certain circumstances which may be painful or joyful. Bad karma, good karma. You get born in a certain body, in a certain family, in a certain place, and then certain events affect you in that lifetime which will cause you joy or suffering. That's what the karma is. But how you act in this lifetime is not caused by karma. People say, oh, I had to hit that person or argue with that person. That's my karma. It's not your karma. It's your choice. Maybe it's the karma that you would have that person as your friend. But to hit him is not a karma. That's your choice at this moment, which will create a bad karma for a future lifetime. So the karma is one thing, the situations created by karma are one thing, but at the same time, our choice of action also is not karma. And that choice of action will also produce certain circumstances, which are not your karma. So not everything in life is simply predestined. In other words, certain things are there, and then we do things in life, and according to how we act, then we get results. Like Monopoly. Anyone play Monopoly? We used to play when we were kids. So certain things are fixed. You can't go anywhere. You got to go on those little squares, yeah? And you can only go on little squares according to how you roll the dice. And once you get in the square, you have a choice. You can, of course, if it's somebody's property, you have to pay a fine, I think, isn't it? You have to pay up some money if you get there. Or if it's free, you can buy it, or not buy it. So you got some choices. Some choices, it's bad karma if you get the wrong thing and somebody owns it, then you have to pay the money. But if it's free, then you have a choice of not buying it or buying it. You can do two things. So you got a little bit of choice there. There's some things which are governed. That's the laws of the game and the different things. But certain things you have a freedom, and depending on your choices, then you may get more and more money and win the game or whatever like that. So it's not that everything in our life is determined by karma. Our choices in life are also very significant. So, yes, karmas are part of our life, but they don't really determine everything in our life. It's our choice of actions which will ultimately determine the final result of our life. That's the whole thing we learn from this. Okay. So in other words, we should not be overcome by our karmic circumstances and get too depressed by that. That everything is hopeless. Because by our choice of action, we can actually overcome the bad effects of karma. Just as a chariot cannot run on a single wheel, in the same way, karma alone will not accomplish anything without human effort. So, in other words, the chariot of life runs on two wheels. We've got the karma going once it's fixing, we got our efforts going. And that will determine our life. And if we give up effort altogether, just okay, let karma do everything, then we're hopeless. Okay. So, we have our karmas, and then we do what we call good actions, actions which don't give problems to other people, rather they give benefits to people or animals or plants and give benefit to the world, then we're going to get better results. So that's how we can affect this present life, just in terms of karma. On the other hand, if we do have bad karmas, and then we do a lot of sinful activities and violent activities, this is going to make things worse. Sometimes, of course, we'll say, oh, look, that person, he's so wealthy and he's so sinful and he's so criminal and this and that. Why is he enjoying life? They should get bad karma for that. Unfortunately, he may have piles of good karma from previous lifetimes still there, so that's why he's still, in a good position or whatever. So, we get good actions in this lifetime if we do good karmas in this lifetime, as well as have our karmas, whatever, good actions in this lifetime. Plus, we're also creating better life next lifetime. So that's why it's always better to do the good activities than the sinful activities or the violent activities. Okay? So we do actions in different gunas. We can do actions in tamagun or ignorance, actions in rajagun, passion, action, and goodness. And if we do it in ignorance, this lowers our consciousness, creates greater suffering this lifetime, and also is going to create bad karma in future lifetimes. So we have to avoid actions in tamagun. If it's actions in rajagun, we also end up low conscious, not as low as tamagun, but still low. And then ultimately, maybe we get immediate happiness in this lifetime by our passionate actions, but ultimately we have to suffer, especially in next lifetime. With actions in goodness, we actually raise our consciousness upwards, and we get a minimum of suffering in this life and next lifetime. So this is actually what karma yoga is about. To avoid the sinful activities and to do the punyas. Okay? So in karma yoga, you'll find all sorts of instructions on how to do things for people, give education, build wells, plant trees, feed people, whatever like this. And then there's a whole list of activities you should not do. All these sinful activities and the hellish punishments you get for this. So if a person follows that, then basically he'll rise up and eventually you're going to get to Sargaloka and live for thousands of years with no problems. Okay, actually this is written, somebody wanted astrology. I'll just go through this very quick because it's a little bit complicated. So actually astrology is there to figure out what your karma is in this lifetime. Okay? Using planets within certain zodiac signs or rasis. Okay? And by that, by looking at them, then you figure out what your karmas are in this lifetime. Yeah? When you get an accident, when you get sick, when you get money, when you lose money, when you get married, when you get children, all these type of things are predictable through astrology. So it's only showing the map of karma of your particular life based upon planets at your birth time, the position of planets at your birth time. And if the astrologer looks at it and says, ugh, it's a bad chart, too much obstacles, too much losses, whatever, too much suffering, this means that you've done a lot of tamasic activities or sinful activities in previous lifetimes and you're getting that effect now. The other hand, you say, very nice chart, then it means that all the planets are showing some good karmas. Where you're getting, without too much effort, you're getting lots of things in life without struggle. This means you've done very sattvic activities, no sinful activities, or less sinful activities at least. So, if your chart shows lots of bad activities and bad results, whatever, misfortunes, whatever, then the astrologer also has to give some advice to console you and try to get rid of those bad results in this lifetime. So generally they will tell you to do some actions of charity or whatever, or worship, etc., to allay the devatas in charge or the planets in charge of those bad karmas, whatever, to get relief. So in other words, you can counteract the bad karmas in this lifetime by doing some charitable activities, etc. Which, of course, in Bhagavad Gita we call Nishkama Karma Yoga, without intentions for personal gain. You will do activities, and you will do charitable activities and do beneficial activities, etc. And this will compensate for all of the results you're getting from violence, sinful activities, etc. Okay. Also, besides simply doing charitable works, if the astrologer is very astute, then he'll also say you have to control your senses, have to control your mind. You have to give up certain bad habits, etc. So all of this means it's something like yoga and jnana. If you practice these things, you can also allay the results, bad results of your karmas, etc. So just a little bit of indication of how astrology works. So certain things will indicate bad karmas. There are certain planets which are bad, evil, malefic, give bad effects. Not completely, but in general, they'll give bad effects. So Saturn is one of those planets. It slows things down. It's the slowest planet in the zodiac. And if you get Saturn in the wrong place, then you don't get any results. You work hard and don't get any results for long periods of time. That's what it means. Or you get sick for long, chronic sickness or whatever like that. So Saturn is considered very evil. Mars is very bad because it's disruptive, fighting, quarrels, etc. So particularly for marriage, you get 7th house Mars. That means husband or wife fight. Rahu and Ketu also cause a lot of disturbance. So these are kind of bad planets. So besides them, of course, the others are good to certain degrees. Jupiter is considered the best planet. Venus is pretty good also. We also get strong and weak planets. A planet may be good, but if it's weak, then it's also bad. So we have to watch out for that also. So then these planets are situated in your chart somewhere or other. And then we have planets situated in certain houses in your chart. You have 12 houses. 6, 8, 12 of the bad houses. You get all your planets and you look at this real bad karma. 6 is for what? Sickness, quarrels, bad health. 8th is for big obstacles, accidents, etc. 12th is for losses. So you get all your planets, or majority of planets stuck in these houses. It's not a very good chart. It means bad karma in general. I mentioned the houses. We get what are called houses. So the predictions are made based upon which house the planet is in. And the house means it's an area of life. So we get different areas of life, like education, marriage, family, children, earning money, job, relationships, losses, gains, sickness, like that. So 12 areas of life, and then your planets get stuck in those positions. Got bad planets there for education, you don't get education. bad planets in the marriage house, you get bad marriage. Bad planets in the children house, and you don't have any children. So, like that. According to where the planets, whether they're bad or weak, and then it will give bad effects for that particular house. Like that. So we got houses. Everybody's got 12 houses, everybody's got the areas of life, and some will be strong, some will be weak, depending on the planets. Like this. So, like that. Okay. This is just what the houses represent. First house is the self and the body. So you got good planets there, okay, very nice. You get nice body, healthy, whatever. You got bad planets like Saturn and Mars there, then you're gonna have a lot of problems in your body. Second house is for money and close family. So you got a nice planet like Jupiter there, second house is good for making money. If you got Saturn there, it means Saturn is a slow planet, you're for work, very little money. Third house is for brothers and sisters and things like that, and for travel. Fourth house is for the mother, for a house. So it's good for properties. You have nice planets there, good for your property acquisitions. Fifth house is for children and education. Sixth is for enemies. Sixth is the bad house. Seventh is marriage, etc. So you got good planets there, good marriage. Bad planets like Saturn is there, makes delay, late marriage or no marriage or something like that. Mars means quarrels. Sun will be separation. Eighth house is for secret enemies, obstacles. This is considered the worst place in the planets. They get very weak in that house. Ninth house is a very good house for father and dharma, religion, etc. All foreign travels. 10th house is for your job, the boss, etc. So you should have a strong 10th house. Fame also is there. 11th house is for games and friends, and 12th house is the 10th house, losses, etc. Not a good house. So your planets get spread out somewhere among these 12, and accordingly, the house will be strong or weak. So that we can determine your karma, which operate according to periods, because there you see there's the planets are listed with certain years on them. So certain planets rule certain amount of your life, like Venus for 20 years, Jupiter for 16 years, and Moon for 10 years. And if the Moon is, in a good house, then it's a good period. There's a bad place, like 6th house or 8th house, a bad period, like that. And for maybe 10 years. So everyone will have to go through a certain amount. This, of course, adds up to more than 100 years, so you're not going to live that long, so you don't go through all the planets. But the cycle is fixed, but you start anywhere in the cycle. You may start with the Venus, halfway through Venus. You may start with the Sun. You may start halfway through the Moon. You may start with Mars, and then you continue like that, and you can go until 60, 70, 80 years like that. And according to which planet's ruling, then you get the good or bad effects of that planet, wherever it is, and which house is strong, weak, etc. Well, that's basically what it does. Yeah. Along with that, so the astrologist will predict your pattern of your life, as you go through life from birth all the way to 80 years old. As well as it can predict your personality and your desires, etc. Because the vasanas go with you birth after birth. So therefore, this is represented by the lagna, or the ascendant, the planet rising on the horizon at your birth, and where the moon is situated. Sometimes it's called the rasi, but actually the moon rasi. So when you're born, then people will say, "What's your moon rasi?" From birth, whatever like that. So that's where the moon is, which zodiac sign the moon is in. So that will help determine your personality, as well as the ascendant, which could be different, could be the same. So all day and night the zodiac is turning, so every 2 hours the ascendant is changing. So even if everybody has all the same planets in the same zodiac signs, the ascendant is going to be different every 2 hours. So that means throughout the day, everybody, even with the same planets in the same day, you're going to have different personalities, and the houses are going to change, so that the karmas are going to be different. So everybody's different in one particular day of birth, even if the planets are all the same. Because the ascendant is different, and then the personalities are different also. Mars ascendant. Mars is ruled by, Aries ascendant, ruled by Mars, the fiery planet. Aries or Mesha. This is the ram with the big horns. So this is a very mixed. If this is your ascendant, the person is quite ambitious, aggressive, active, courageous, whatever, rash, impulsive, maybe overbearing. If the Mars planet has also got some bad aspects to it or whatever, then it could be quite an aggressive person, irritating person also. But they are very active, straightforward, etc. This is Vrishabha, the bull, ruled by Venus. Of course, the bulls, they've got big horns, so they can get a little violent sometimes. But they're also very generally peaceful. If you don't disturb them, they're very peaceful, very slow. So the Taurus ascendant is a very slow person in general. A gentle person, but could get very disturbed sometimes if you agitate them. They also it's ruled by Venus, so that they like fine arts and things like this, music, films, whatever like that. Patient, whatever. Very generally good characteristics. We can get along with them, but they may be possessive and greedy also. Gemini is the third sign, ruled by Mercury. Gemini means twins. So these persons are a mixture between active and passive, versatile, restless, like to talk a lot. They can be humorous, jokers, whatever like that, comedians, entertainers. Maybe a little bit superficial. They can talk a lot, but don't mean too much. Cancer is the fourth sign, rules the crab, ruled by the moon. And the moon is the very fickle sign, very emotional thing, also a watery sign. The crab is near the water. So very emotional people, these people. Restless also, can't stay in one place. A little bit timid also, can be creative as well. And the fifth one is Simha, Leo, which is the lion. So this is famous because lion is like the king of the animals. It's a very proud sign, aggressive sign, but it's a Kshatriya sign, like a good king. They can be very generous as well, so they can be a good king. But of course, if it's the sign is afflicted, then they can be a bad king also. Very, very powerful, but very, very cruel. Exploitative, they can be exploitative as well. They can be extravagant as well. But the general sign is they're a good ruler and they're warm-hearted, generous, etc. Sixth sign is Virgo or Kanya, which is a feminine sign ruled by this maiden with grains in her hands, also like agriculture, etc. It's good for practical things. Also good for nursing, caring for people. Practical, analytical, etc. Modest. Seventh sign is Libra or Tula, which is the scales. This is the justice sign. And so they like to have a very peaceful life. They don't like quarrels. They rather compromise and argue. Interested in justice, things like this. Interested in artistic things because it's ruled by Venus. They like peaceful existence, peaceful surroundings, etc. Scorpio, eighth sign, ruled by Mars. So this is not a good sign in general. This is Scorpions like to bite people. So they may be very critical people, unnecessarily attack people. They can be secretive also. They don't reveal their intentions to anybody. So they make good spies as well. It's because it's ruled by Mars, also very passionate, but they can hide that also. Sagittarius is the ninth sign, ruled by Jupiter. This is Danus, the archer. And Danus, of course, is aspirations with goals in mind. It's a spiritual sign, once a dharmic sign. Good for philosophy, dharma, yajna, etc. Good for learning, wisdom, scriptural studies, etc. So generally good sign. Capricorn, 10th, ruled by Saturn. This sign makes the person quite disciplined and sober, serious and sincere, hardworking and practical. Ruled by Saturn, as I said, is a very kind of a slow sign and very methodical about things they do, very practical. Maybe pessimistic also. And 11th sign is Kumbha, or Aquarius, the water pot, ruled by Saturn also. But unlike, it's a little bit unlike the previous sign, which is ruled by Saturn also. They tend to be, the positive traits are friendly and independent and original, but they can be a little slow also. Unselfish, tend to be quite friendly to people and say compassionate as well. Like to do social work, for instance. And they can be too detached from things also. 12th sign is the last sign ruled by Jupiter also. This is also the last sign, so it stands for liberation and things like that. And it's ruled by Jupiter, so it can be very philosophical, very creative, imaginative, etc., compassionate. Quite a good sign, but the people may be a little unsteady in their mind. So if you're ascendant like you, this would rule, this would determine predict part of your personality, just by the sign itself. But this will be affected by the strength of the ruling planet, like Jupiter is weak, then bad signs, bad qualities are kind of a weak-willed and escapist, for instance, if the Jupiter is weak, wherever it is in the chart, like an 8th house. Or if you have Mars in the ascendant with the Jupiter ascendant, that's going to give a Mars effect of aggression as well. So we get all sorts of mixtures. So it's not just pure ascendant, we get mixtures as well. So this way, astrology could tell your personality also, some of which would be good characteristics, some would be bad characteristics. And we know that people often have a problem with personality. Some people have too much anger, some people have fear, insecurity, some people like to blame others, etc. So everybody has some faults in their personality, and we want to correct their personality, but everyone finds out it's very difficult to change anything. But it is possible also. So that's actually whereas your karmas are harder to change, these things are easier to change. Because the karmas are physical. Your body, you cannot change who your parents were. You cannot change your birthplace. It's fixed. The body that you got is genetic. You cannot change that. But your personality, you can change somewhat. You can change your desires. You alter things. It may be difficult, but it's more changeable than to change the body. So it is possible to do that. Okay. Astrologically, you can do this by how you want to transform your ascendant, or if there's a bad ascendant. So you can use gems. So people put on gems, rings and like that. You see some Bengalis, for instance, they have 6 rings on their fingers, or 10 rings on all their fingers or something, because they're really worried about certain planets affecting them, whatever like that. So if you have a weak planet, you can wear that particular jewel, or a particular color, or you can do japa for that particular planet, whatever like that. So these are one way you can do it by altering the strength of the planets. This will help influence your personality by making good qualities. But you have to be careful, because if you put the wrong jewel on, it can make bad qualities also. You can make the bad planet causing the problem worse. So you end up with more aggressive personality instead of cooling down the anger, etc. So you have to be careful. And if you're struck and you don't know what to do, you wear the Navaratna with all the gems on it to balance everything out. Anyway, these are just the gems for the different places like that. So we get ruby for the sun, and pearl or moonstone for moon, and red coral for Mars, and emerald for Mercury, if you want to strengthen Mercury, and diamond for Venus. Usually they give, in the Western world, they give wedding rings of diamond, but that may not be the right gem to put on, because it could be one which increases the bad thing. So you have to be careful that the wedding, don't ever say diamond is the best. It may not be the best, it may be the worst. Yellow sapphire is for Jupiter. Blue sapphire for Saturn. and Gomed for Rahu, and Katsai for Ketu, like that, or Navarana for everything. Okay, you can use prayers and mantras, etc. also, yeah, that's very common. People will utter prayers like that. And we have deities to worship for each one. Now there are, the Navagrahas, but we don't like to worship devatas, so you can worship avatars instead. So worship Rama for the sun, and Krishna for the moon, and Nrsimhadev for Mars, and Buddha for Mercury, and Parsuram for Venus, and Vamana for Jupiter, Kurma for Saturn, and Varaha for Rahu, and Meena for Ketu. So at least we're worshiping forms of Vishnu here, so not devatas like that. Yeah. Saturn. And you can use the mantras also for the different deities, for homas, etc. This is get rid of the bad effects or strengthen the planet, etc. You can do worship. Of course, we do worship all the time. We offer, ghee lamps, etc. Yeah, with purity. Okay, fine. Incense, lamps, flowers. Okay, so these effects we can, pacify the bad planets, or the Shringadev's angry, you can pacify them, whatever. But there's ways of destroying the karma completely, not just modifying it. So we have Jnana Yoga, which is largely intellectual. We discuss Vedanta and renounce, etc. We do Ashtanga Yoga, with asanas and pranayama and jhana and samadhi. This will destroy karma, but of course it's also very difficult to do. This is Arjuna tells Krishna, it is too difficult, I can't do this. So it is a difficult process. It takes thousands of years to accomplish the effect of destroying all your karmas. But Bhakti Yoga can destroy all your karmas. And in fact, even pre-Bhakti Yoga, accidental Bhakti can destroy all your karmas. Which sounds impossible because Gyanis may take 1,000 years of serious practice, or yogis, it takes 1,000 years of serious practice, but Ajamil destroyed all of his karmas by just accidentally chanting the name Narayana to name his son. And instantaneously all of his karmas were gone. It wasn't even with faith, without bhakti, without devotion, but simply the name of the Lord uttered destroyed all his karmas. So, there is ways we can change our life, which are not so difficult after all. We don't have to go to do all these sacrifices or whatever. We don't have to go through Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and go to the Himalayas. Let's do Bhakti Yoga. We can, much easier way to get the same effect. Yeah. So, this is a little diagram here. So the Karma Yoga tries to adjust your karmas, by doing punyas and avoiding sins, and then if you've got bad things according to astrology, then you'll worship devatas or do homas, etc., do charities to counteract your bad karmas. So it can alter it, and the vasanas also can get changed to some degree, and you can get better material life. But it's not a final solution. So better than that is to practice things which will destroy the karmas completely. So we do have Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, but as I said, very difficult to do. So if we want an easy process, we do Bhakti Yoga. But the bonus is that Bhakti Yoga, the goal is not to destroy karmas at all. That is just an easy side effect. The real goal is prema, which is not the goal of anything else. And you get something much greater than simply destroying your karmas. You get prema. So Bhakti Yoga is the best process of all because it destroys your karma very quickly, but it also gives you the highest prema with the highest bliss. So this is the recommended process. So that's why Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam are recommending the process of Bhakti Yoga over any other process. Yeah. Okay. So, of course, that's the theory. people may wonder, okay, you're saying Bhakti Yoga and just chant the name of Narayana or Krishna and you destroy all your karma as well. So how can that happen? And very difficult. But we do have some scientific things. Research. Of course, it's indirect in one sense, but we do see that even there is a difference. The signs are the same, the names are the same, the qualities are the same, the representation of the animal is the same or whatever, like, Capricorn or whatever, generally it's the same, qualities are the same. But where they're situated in the sky is 23 degrees different. So the Vedic system is based actually on where that zodiac sign is, and then the planets would be in there, whatever. The Western system is not based upon that. It's based upon a 0 point, which depends on the equinox point, which shifts over thousands of years. It shifts. So over the last 2,000 years, it shifts 23 degrees different. So it's not actually where those stars are in the sky anymore. Let's say Aries is not there. It's shifted 23 degrees off. So that makes it different. And therefore, if you say you're Aries sun sign in Western, it may not be true in the Vedic system. Yeah. So, for instance, my sun sign is Capricorn in the Western system, but I'm Sagittarius sun in the Vedic system.
So the real chart will be on Sagittarius and Mars.
Yeah, so obviously, in that sense, that there's going to be some difference in the predictions and whatever because of that. Of course, the Western astrology does not predict so much timing of events. They don't do that so much. It's mainly personality, not the timing of events anyway.
Maharaj, in Bhakti Yoga, like we all are in different levels in our spiritual journey. So who are already in the pure devotee, they don't need to think about astrology. So people who are not at that level.
Yeah.
So is it recommended to know what is, like you shared that it helps in improving your karma?
Yeah.
Is it also helpful in knowing what are the hindrances in your spiritual journey?
Well, according to astrology or not?
Yeah.
Oh, well, see, astrology is not going to tell you about your spiritual life. And then it says, well, violence is not bad under certain circumstances according to Dharma. If someone is attacking you, somebody's burning down your house, if someone is stealing your wife and children, then you can be violent. It's not a sin anymore. So sins are not always sins if it's done for the proper reason. And the Kshatriya can fight in battle. It's not a sin if he kills somebody else. It's a dharmic battle. Then he goes to Svargaloka as a result. He doesn't get any sin. So therefore, if it is, just simply for cruelty's sake or whatever, then obviously it would be to kill animals or plants or bugs or whatever. But if we're only trying to do for health reasons or whatever, then it's not a problem.
So, for